Hello, my name is Crystal Vilkaitis, and I joined the mastermind in May in New York City, and I had the opportunity to meet a lot of you there, which was so great. I hope to see a lot of you in San Diego next week. I own a company called Crystal Media, and a couple of weeks ago, I asked a question to Jen during her coaching call, and she commented about my setup for my video and mic here. And then I had a couple people privately message me asking me about the setup. And so in efforts of help one person every day, I wanted to create this video to hopefully help one person in the mastermind with your tech. If you're doing any live streaming, a lot of Zooming, if you have a video podcast, if you're just really wanting to elevate your video experience, I've got some tips for you. But before I dive into them, a couple of disclaimers. Number one, my company Crystal Media does not do video production. This is something that I just purely learned on my own. And so for that reason, I am not an expert. I am just teaching you what I know and what I have set up and what I've done. And I've gotten a lot of compliments about this whole setup, and it has been incredibly easy. So that's what I wanted. I wanted an elevated experience that was easy for me to set up and control, because it's usually just me running these things. I don't have a team or anybody running it for me. And so that's the only disclaimer, is that I'm not an expert. So I might say things that, if you are an expert and you're like, oh my gosh, what is she talking about? Really doing my best, just teaching you what I know and trying to keep it simple. So what I'm doing is, this is my little intro video, and then pieced together right after this will be a video of me just showing you the actual gear, my switchboard, my computer, my camera, and where all the cords are plugged into. And then after that video, I pieced in me just going through all the different links of the cords, just saying again, where those things go and how you plug those things in. So I hope that this is helpful to at least one person in here. I just can't stress enough. I just feel like, especially with this group, so many of you are doing interviews and Zooms and being on video, that I just think it really can help from your own confidence perspective. It's certainly helped me. I feel better because I know my look is great. And when I'm on panels for webinars, my sound is always great too. It just really stands out. But I guess this is my other disclaimer. Really try to keep it simple. Okay. There are if you want to go big and you want multiple cameras and you want a teleprompter and you want all sorts of cool stuff, and that makes sense for you, awesome. This is going to be a little bit more of a basic video. But if you are somebody that is just like me, who's I just want to elevate my video experience and it's kind of me running the show, then I hope that you'll find this video helpful. If you have questions, please ask, and I'll do my best to answer. Again, not an expert, but I will definitely do my best. And I hope to see you in San Diego in just less than a week. All right. The one thing I wanted to say, sorry, almost signed off, is one thing I mentioned in one of the videos that's coming right after this is lighting. And so one thing I do with lighting is I have my monitor over here. And so I like to have a white screen background, even if it's just the standard Google page. Because you can see if I have this, now my lighting is really dark, right? So if you've got a full on Zoom screen, what I do is I'll make the Zoom screen smaller, and then that way I have a little bit more white that's coming through. So see how I have a little bit more white that's coming through. So I just play with my windows on the screen, and that's why I like having a big monitor, so I can kind of have separate windows side by side to see those things, still see the Zoom, but then have the white screen next to it. You want to create kind of a shadow on one side of your face. So if you're sitting in front of a window to get that natural lighting coming directly at you, try to create some sort of shade or another light that comes in on the side to create a little bit more of that. I show in the video, I'm also lucky that I've got some windows up here that I can shut, and I just use some soft lighting. play with the lighting. It took me a little bit to figure out what I like and what look I like. I get a lot of compliments on kind of the softer, but it should really be something that you like. Easy to see. Try to have some of that dimension and that shadow. Again, I'm not an expert, so if somebody's a photographer and listening to this, like, Crystal, you're insane. What are you talking about? Please comment. I'm open to feedback here. But that is something that I learned through research. So hopefully this is helpful. Hope to see you in San Diego, and let's dive into the next video. Okay, so here's kind of behind the scenes, and please excuse some of the mess, but this is kind of the setup. So I have the Mac Mini, like I mentioned, and that's going to be this thing right here, as well as it comes with the monitor, and I've got my keyboard down here with the mouse. But you can use a laptop with that too. The reason that I got this Mac Mini was to hardwire into the internet, so I could have faster internet to stream faster and just more reliability. So basically, and I'll walk through all the wires here, but I've got this switchboard kind of controls everything. So for the switchboard, this is going to be plugged into my microphone, and I'm going to just link to all the cords and I'll show you all this. This guy is plugged directly into the camera. So that way the camera, I can control it from the switchboard. So then you've got your mics up here and cameras are down here. And then you can also, there's two mic options. So like I'll plug in my computer to this with a separate cord that I'll link to. And with that computer mic, I can then have music pumping through the computer, and it's a better quality. It's easier to hear. And then I can just like turn off that music and then turn on my mic. This is also great too, because if you're on Zoom, I can just hit the off to mute myself or on to mute versus doing it on Zoom. So, and then cameras down here, you can have up to 4 cameras. So if you were wanting different camera angles, sometimes I will have my laptop camera plugged into, like I have a Logitech webcam, and I can hit camera 2, and then that can go over to the computer and I can share my screen from there. And then maybe I go back over to 1 to show my camera, like show me. There's fancy stuff you could do with this. I'm not going to include that. I'm just kind of showing the setup here. This cable right here is plugged into the Mac Mini. So you would either be plugging this into a computer, like laptop, Mac, PC, whatever you got. And then this is just for power. And then if I just take you around, let's see. So we've got the camera. I just have it set up on a tripod. And with the camera, this is a separate lens, which I'm going to link to just to have more of that focus. I'm not a camera person. I have it set on 24. You can just kind of like put somebody in the seat, look on your screen and kind of see like what level of blur and how you want that to look. And basically like when you're going live, you're just switching this over to video. And this, so here's back end of how this is all plugged in, kind of already went through that. But one thing I wanted to point out is I have this battery pack. It's not plugged in right now, but usually I just have this plugged in. It's just USB power. I just kind of plug it into the Mini to charge batteries, because like if you're like me, I am doing a webinar, I'm live streaming, the battery lasts maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours, and then boom, you got to go into the next. Or I'll even do like 8-hour Zoom events. So my camera will blink like battery's dying. So I can come back here, swap out the battery, and I just have batteries charging right here. So that makes it nice and easy. You know, I have tried different mics. I've tried this mic. This is the Hyper X. I've tried the Yeti. Yeti's not bad. But I've just liked this mic the best. I think it's the best quality from all the testing. So that's what I'm linking to with all the links. But that's basically the connection. I don't think, oh, the one thing I was just gonna point out, this is, I mean, it's so easy, but I just wanted to be like kind of step by step here, is, so this is gonna be my power source. This is allowing me to hardwire directly into the modem, so I'm not on Wi-Fi. And then this is into the camera. So the camera is plugged into the Mini. And then this is my external monitor. So it plugs in there. This is just to power up my phone when I'm sitting at my desk. And this is to power up either my speaker, because I love having music, or the battery pack. So that's kind of a tour of the hardwire wear. One more thing I'm going to add here for lighting. I'm lucky enough to have these lights up here that have these blinds that I just like press this button and then they go open. And I've got 2 levels of lighting with those. If you can get natural lighting, that's the best, but sometimes natural lighting is just so bright that it washes you out. And so that's what I love about having these blinds, because I'm never having it fully open. I'm usually doing this one, or I go down a level. The video that I'm going to be filming, or my intro of this, I am fully closed here, but then you can see I've just got some soft lights, and honestly, I got a light behind me, honestly, and then I will use this as light too. I'll have a white screen so it really pops the light. I'll show that on camera as well. But if you can get kind of like natural lighting and some soft lighting, that can really help. Those ring lights are great too. Okay, so we're going to go through the links, and I'm going to link all of this. Let me just share my screen and we will walk through all the cords and everything. Okay. So the first thing that we've got here is the Mac Mini, which is what I use for my computer source, so I can directly wire into my modem so I have faster, more reliable internet. I'm not using Wi-Fi, but you don't have to do this option. You could just run this off of your PC or a laptop. Then if you are using something to hardwire in, this is the cord that I use from my Mac Mini into my modem. Now, the ATM or Atom Mini Pro is what I have. And this is the switchboard, what I call the switchboard. And if you go through this page, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff that this thing can do. It's really cool, but it's what controls the video, the camera, and the sound. You can fade in and out of screens. They show you some examples here. You can do like a screen within a screen. You can overlay. I've done this before when I have like my own events and I have speakers that come on, or for me or my team. You upload images into the Atom Mini Pro software. You have to add the software onto your computer, and which is free. It's like included with purchasing the unit. And then you upload those like a title slide that has like the person's name, your title, your company, whatever. And while you're speaking live, then somebody or you can press a button and then that can come up and it shows your name or whatever, or the website you want people to go to. And then you can press another button and that can go away. It can fade in, it can fade out. Here's kind of like picture in a picture example. So the fading stuff you can do all from the switchboard, what I call the switchboard. So like I said, I have the Pro. If you go to the very bottom, you have lots of different options. Look at how fancy pants you can get here. So you don't have to be that fancy. I'm just plugged in from the mic and video perspective. So here's the Pro is the one that I have. Then we need a good mic. What I learned from Pat Flynn with his podcast course, he recommended this mic. I've tried 2 other mics. This is my favorite. I highly recommend it. But if you have one you're already using and you love it, stay with it. I also bought one of these things to add to the top to help from the sound perspective. And then I needed to buy this cable that plugged into the Atom Mini Pro. So don't use the one that it comes with. You have to buy a separate cable so it works with that Atom Mini Pro. Now, right now, I just have this like on the tripod that it comes with, but I used to have this like arm that was on the desk, and I did really like that. I was able to really get the mic really close to my mouth without like leaning down to talk into it. If you do the arm example, just make sure you've got a good table that's flat like that. My current desk is not, so I couldn't use that. And then you also want to add this. It's a stabilizer in case you're hitting the mic. It just helps stabilize any of those sounds in case you're hitting it. Then I bought this cord. You may or may not need it, but this plugs into the Atom Mini Pro switchboard. And then I plug it into my laptop. And that's how I play music for events that I run. And so I can just turn on that mic, it plays the music, or if I'm playing a video, like a promo video or something, and I want it on that computer, it's easier to control the sounds and screens on a separate computer with the the switchboard, the Atom Mini Pro. So that's what I do. But if you're not using a second device, you're not going to have additional sound, then you would not need that cord. This cord plugs into the Atom Mini Pro and into my Mac Mini. So basically the USB-C, or yeah, no, yes, sorry, this plugs into switchboard into Mac Mini. So you just want to make sure if you don't have a Mac Mini that you have the right cable. It needs to be this USB-C on one end, and then the other end just needs to be however that plugs into your computer. So that might be the Mini, or it might be HDMI. I think that they make those cables. So just check that out first, depending on what your computer source is. Then this plugs into my camera. So I've got the smaller portion, the smaller side of this. Let me show you this. The smaller side that goes into the Canon camera, and the bigger HDMI part goes into the Atom Mini Pro. So if you're not using, like, just check your plugs on your camera to see if you would need this same cable. I think you would. I think it's pretty standard for most cameras. So this is what allows the camera to talk to the switchboard. Then I have my camera. Now, look, I bought this thing January 2018. So there is a chance you could buy a better camera for cheaper. This is what I have. I don't know anything about cameras. I think it needs to be a DSLR, but I don't even know if that's correct. Maybe if there is a camera person, they could chat in and share, or ask a photography friend. But this is what I use. It works great. But I was recommended to get a better lens, and this lens it gave me better quality and helped me like blur out. I like the blurred out background where you can really see me. Not everybody likes that look, so it's up to you. You don't have to have the blurred out background, but that's what I really was trying to achieve. And so I was recommended to get this additional lens to add on to my camera. But again, maybe you can find a camera that already has a great lens built in. This is just what I have. Then I really recommend these battery packs. So this is just where you're buying extra batteries outside of what comes with the camera, and then you just always have batteries being charged. Okay, you don't want to run out of battery power, especially if you do a lot of these. So always have those on hand and keep those close to your laptop or to your camera source. And then I also mentioned when I use my laptop, I use a Logitech webcam there versus the laptop camera. I don't love the laptop cameras. I just feel like they're kind of grainy and they're just not the best experience. So I'll use the Logitech. This is an example of what I use on the second monitor, but that's only like when I'm feeling like I want two screens. I rarely am using this webcam. And then finally, this is the tripod that I'm using. Love this tripod, super sturdy, and you can make it small to sit on a table, or it can stand tall like I have it. I love this little handle too to adjust. It's got a level on it. So, and your camera just basically like twists into this tripod. You do have to take the camera off to then put new batteries in and then put that back on, but that's a pretty easy thing to do. So that's the rundown of all these links. And that's the end of my mini course for you on my tech. And I just really hope that you find this helpful. If you have questions or additional tips to share, please chat them in. And I look forward to meeting more of you and continuing learning in the mastermind. All right. Cheers.